Guys, 2024 is over. 2024 is a thing of the past. And instead of spending time reflecting on how I could be better as a person or making New Year's resolutions to improve my quality of life, I spend time reflecting on the 50 very best hot toys that went up for pre-order in 2024. And today, we're going to go over those 50 hot toys. But before we get started, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell down below so you're notified when content goes live for you. That said, let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're jumping straight into number 50 on the list. No foreplay. This is the Hono Studios Wolverine. But before we get too deep into this figure, let me just tell you a brief disclaimer. These are figures that went up for pre-order in the year 2024 from Hot Toys that did not release in 2024 to the general public. If the figure released, there's a good chance it already appeared in my 2024 top 50 releases video, which I'll link in the description below if you happen to miss it. Very cool video, so you want to check that one out. But nonetheless, let's talk about this Wolverine from Hono Studios, which is Hot Toys' subsidiary brand, cheaper brand, introductory brand for 1/6 scale figures. This is going to sting a little bit for some Wolverine collectors because they initially announced as the first Hono Studios figure was the Wolverine that did not come with a head sculpt. Well, this one does come with a head sculpt, and unfortunately, it's the same exact figure through and through, except for the fact that it has a head sculpt. And now you can, of course, plug any comic book you want into it, but you can plug this comic book Wolverine here with the unmasked portrait there if you would like. I still like the base. This figure doesn't come with all that much, but neither did the original. Again, this is a figure that you're probably going to get for around $200 out the door, maybe a little bit more than that for this version, but you have a head sculpt. So for comic book fans, it's a little unfortunate that you probably had to buy this Wolverine twice. You didn't get to follow the buy next or buy twice rule, unfortunately, just because you didn't really have a choice. And if you wanted the original Wolverine, you probably got it. Now you're probably stuck picking up a second one if you want this head sculpt, which, to be honest, the head sculpt probably should have come with the original, but it did not. And Hot Toys decided to milk it and create an entirely new figure and put a head sculpt behind this paywall of a new figure, which is unfortunate. I don't want to reward it, but I do want to be fair. This is a very good figure, especially for the introductory price of under $200. So for me, I think this one is a win for Wolverine fans. It's just unfortunate how it came to be. And at number 49, we have the Hot Toys Clone Commando. You may remember Clone Commando Scorch, which did appear on the releases video. Clone Commando has not yet released to the general public, but this is another figure under the Bad Batch line. The Trooper Collector in me is not super excited for this one. Again, I'm not the biggest Trooper Collector in the world, but I do recognize a quality Trooper when I see one. And I do see a white paint application with some subtle weathering effects and brown and speckling and some gray and some black. And I do love the undersuit, which gives this guy a little bit of personality. I'm not sure how well he will articulate, but I'm assuming better than a First Order Stormtrooper. It can't be worse. I do like the blue light up visor there, and of course the jetpack on the back there. I think this guy is pretty damn cool. I think for Trooper collectors, you're going to be happy with him. If you picked up Clone Commando Scorch, I think you're probably going to end up picking this guy up. Or maybe if you're just a Trooper collector and you want something that has that sort of militaristic Star Wars look to it, I think this would certainly be that figure. To me, it has a Halo look to it, and it blends in with the other troopers I think that you'll probably have in your collection, although this one is pretty basic. Still, I do like it, and for Trooper collectors, I think it's a good buy. At number 48 and number 47, respectively, we have the Batman and Robin figures from Batman and Robin. I'm not the biggest Batman and Robin fan. I did watch these films when I was younger, and I enjoyed them, but I was like 9 years old or something similar, something around that age. And they were pretty entertaining for what they were. That's, I think, at a time maybe when the comic book genre was still trying to find its footing, like how serious it could be. Should they be silly and over the top and cheesy? And that's what these films are. And that's the route they went for. And it worked pretty well at the time. And then The Dark Knight showed up, I think it was, in 2007. And everything changed. So The Dark Knight and Avengers 1 are really what made me a huge comic book movie fan and a nerd in the sense that I buy these figures and why I'm so attached to them. So those were really the gateway films for me and really influential. Nonetheless, Batman and Robin, they look cool. Robin has more of a Nightwing look to him in this look. He has the red and black color scheme, and he has the mask on there that looks very Nightwing like. And of course, Batman has a mostly purely black suit here. You can tell with wires in the cape there. And a really cool fabric, a really cool material rather, and overall design for this suit. Again, this is not a Batman that I would ever consider picking up, but for a lot of collectors, it is. And they have a nostalgic connection to it, a nostalgic pull to it. And if you have that, I think these guys look pretty cool. And as figures go, Hot Toys did a pretty damn good job here with these prototypes. So at number 46, we have our only other Hono Studios figure, and that's the Hono Studios Magneto. So Magneto is a really cool character, obviously part of the X-Men franchise, and a really important character in comic book history. And now Hot Toys has taken their stab at it under Hono Studios brand and said, you know what, we're making a comic book Magneto, and it's pretty damn cool. You have a wired cape, you have a magnetic hand feature, of course, so you can connect magnetic things to metal things, which is Magneto's whole thing, right? And a magnetism effect accessory, which I think is pretty awesome as well. Again, you have the comic book backdrop with that stand. So the Hono Studios line is very consistent in how you're going to display them, which I think is going to look pretty cool. This guy doesn't come with a whole lot, but neither do any of the other Hono Studios figures. That's kind of the point. They're meant to be base level budget figures, entry level, and high quality nonetheless, to keep it at a reasonable price so you can join the hobby without breaking the bank. And at number 45, we have the Hot Toys Black Manta from Aquaman 2, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is not a film that I actually went to go see, although I did really love the first film. I just didn't want to get too invested in these characters when I knew they were about to be scrapped, and I wasn't hearing great things about the second film anyway, despite the first being really good and making over $1 billion. But nonetheless, Hot Toys has created a really compelling prototype here in this Black Manta figure. You can see it has light up function in the eyes with the red LEDs, and that should be battery operated, likely not USB operated from my understanding. I'm not sure what the material on the suit is, but it looks really damn cool. And Black Manta has a really cool costume design. I think this is one that's really going to pop on the shelf. And you can see here the LED function extends down the back of the helmet as well, which is really cool. And of course, he has some tridents there, which I think are pretty awesome. Again, this guy should pose pretty well. I'm not sure about creasing if you leave him in dynamic poses long term, but for the meantime, I think you can pose him and still be pretty happy with it. I think this is a pretty damn cool figure. I'm not sure how many collectors are truly going to care because this DC universe is now dead. So you have to be a big fan of the character from the first two films, or maybe from the comic books in general, and you want that representation. But short of that, I think this guy could go the way of really just not being one that collectors will prioritize, and even Hot Toys for that matter, and they probably know that. But it is a relic of the past, so should you be interested, looks pretty good. And at number 44, we have the Hot Toys Padawan Ahsoka figure from the Ahsoka Disney Plus series. This is one that I actually didn't think would be made. Hot Toys is not typically too keen on making child figures for one reason or another, but they did make this one, and it does look like a pretty good figure. I actually did enjoy this sequence from the show. I thought it was pretty cool to see Anakin in his Clone Wars attire and, of course, coaching Ahsoka through her training. That was pretty cool and pretty interesting, particularly as a person in myself who has not watched Clone Wars and seen all of Ahsoka's development. Well, she gets a lot of development in this show, and I think it's pretty interesting to see where we're going to go from here. This figure does look very good. The young actress who played young Ahsoka did a great job, actually, and I'd actually enjoy seeing more of her in future installments of Ahsoka. Maybe they'll do future flashbacks or something similar where they'll be able to show more of her character and her development. But overall, this figure looks pretty cool. I mean, of course, you have a really well-tailored outfit. You have a seamless orange body, which is very unique. Let's hope that it maintains over time, because if it cracks or something, replacing the body is going to be extremely difficult because it's orange. And it does look great, though. I mean, this is the figure that if you want a lot of different versions of Ahsoka, you'd probably end up picking this one up. If you're not a diehard Ahsoka fan, I could see most collectors passing on this one, but still, nonetheless, Hot Toys has created a really compelling dynamic figure here that could look pretty cool if Ahsoka is one of your favorite characters. Next up on the list, we have Clone Commander Wolf, which is not a character that I'm overly familiar with because I'm not a Clone Wars avid watcher, and again, I'm not a Trooper collector. But again, I do recognize quality, and I do recognize what the people want, and I recognize that a lot of collectors love this character and they love Clone Wars. So for me, I think this is a worthy inclusion on this list because it is a really cool armor. I think the gray color scheme with the white matches really nicely. Of course, you have the jetpack effects and the Tamora Morrison head sculpt, which is actually pretty cool. You can see a big scar down the right eye there with the white eye, which is really, really cool. This is a really good likeness to Tamora Morrison. And of course, you have, again, a really cool color scheme. So whether you want to go mask on or mask off, I think you have a compelling figure here. And for Trooper collectors, going to be hard to pass on this guy because I've heard he has a lot of really good development, and a lot of collectors are going to want him in their display. And because of that, I think he's pretty damn good. Next up on the list is the Hot Toys Droideka. The Droideka was not a figure that I thought was going to be made. I knew that Hot Toys could probably produce it pretty cheaply, but I didn't think they were actually going to spend the time to because I'm not sure how the articulation would actually work. Well, Hot Toys has seemingly found a way, and you have even transformable modes here, as you can see, to have him displayed in multiple ways. It does look a little bit cheap on display. I've seen photos and videos from the display at various cons and at Secret Base, and it does look a little bit cheap. This was one that I was considering picking up for a time just because I thought it looked pretty cool, but again, I'm not sure how substantial it's going to feel in hand, and due to that, I decided to hold off. And, you know, I love the prequels, but this wasn't one that I felt like was going to be in my display. By the way, I love the prequels for nostalgic connections. The first two films, I'm not a huge fan of, but I love moments in those films. And I love how they were a huge part of my childhood. I love Revenge of the Sith, not so much Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace, but I do love Darth Maul and other moments in those two films. And number 41 is X-23. X-23 is a character that collectors have wanted in their collection ever since Logan dropped years back now. Well, now you have an opportunity, although this isn't quite the same X-23, she is older, she has a different outfit, but you do have a seamless body here and a really good head sculpt. You have a base that looks very similar to the Endgame and Darth Vader bases, the Battle Damage Darth Vader from Kenobi and Endgame Battle Damage Mark 85 Iron Man. But still, you have a swept hair head sculpt that collectors are, I guess, a little bit polarized over. Not every collector loves it, but you do have really good tailoring. You have a great likeness to Daphne Keene. And if you want to use the head sculpt without the swept hair look, you can do that. There is a swappable hairpiece included in there. Right there, you can see it right there. And again, you can see the size compared to Wolverine. She does look very cool next to Wolverine. So I think this could be a really cool display if you're trying to build that Deadpool look. You have rolling eyeballs, as this is a new figure. And if you want her in something more dynamic, you can, of course, do the swept hair look. You have an interchangeable claw on the foot and, of course, on the hands as well. Pretty cool. Of course, you have the Juggernaut helmet, which is also pretty cool for an accessory. I think there's a lot to like here. So as far as X-23 is concerned, I think they've done a good job with this prototype. If you're a Deadpool collector or Wolverine collector, she could be considered. And we're back with the Troopers. We got Hot Toys Echo here from the Clone Wars. And again, I recognize the quality and the popularity of Echo and Fives, which 5 will be next on this list. 5s will be next as we go through. And Echo is pretty cool. We got another Tamora Morrison head sculpt. You got a cool blue and gray and white color scheme here with this Trooper. This one does pop on a shelf. I do think it's pretty cool. And of course, with all of the Troopers there together, it does look pretty cool. So for Echo, I think you got a good figure here. I don't think there's too much more I can say about it besides it's a Trooper with some unique color schemes and a cool vibe to it. And of course, it has a lot of development in the Clone Wars this character does, which people are very fond of. And it's just not one that's going to be for me, but I do recognize its quality, so I think Echo belongs here. And next up, we have Fives, which is Tamora Morrison with a goatee. And Fives is another Trooper with a very similar color scheme, a very similar color palette, if you will, and some pauldrons up by the shoulders, and of course, the goatee. You can see there's the group shot again, which looks very cool on a display. So if collectors want to build this display out in their collection, I think that's going to look really cool. There is the Fives head sculpt, which I think looks pretty nice. Again, it's Tamora Morrison with a goatee. You have a head sculpt here that looks very much like Tamora Morrison, just like the others do. It's very likely the same head sculpt with a goatee added to it. That's really all they had to do, and maybe the tattoo in the upper right-hand side. I think it looks pretty cool. Again, these are clones, which is why they all have the same head sculpt. And the color palettes and schemes are overall pretty well done. I think the weathering is subtle but effective. And these are Troopers, I think, that can really look good on a shelf if you're a Clone Wars collector and you want to build out that type of display. So next up, we have the Akaoni Samurai Predator. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but still, it's a badass looking figure. Hot Toys has collaborated with a couple famous artists here to create a Predator figure that is very unique and distinct from its other Predators in the Predator line, and just really cool and badass. I think this Samurai Predator looks very awesome. I love the skin texture on it. It does look very reptilian, and I love the Samurai armor. I think it's a really cool artistic rendition that really makes this figure pop on the shelf. This could be one I think that could draw people in. Helmet on or helmet off, I think it looks absolutely awesome. So you have two swappable mandibles there, as you can see. A really cool badass space where he's actually destroying a xenomorph, which I think is pretty cool. You can see the blood there as well. That is, the acidic blood that's dripping from the xenomorph. This is just a really cool figure. I have no connection to this figure whatsoever, so it's not going to be coming home for me, but it does look very awesome. This, again, is a figure that I think will draw people in very easily on your shelf. So I could see collectors getting this just because it looks cool for some collectors anyway. But for others, if you have a connection to Predator, I think this guy could be pretty cool on a shelf. Damn, this looks amazing. The color scheme is ripe with things to look at. You can see the orange there in the dreadlocks with the red armor. It looks awesome. And again, the reptilian skin tones. This one is a really, really cool figure. I just wish I would connected more to it, because if so, it would probably end up in my collection because of just how amazing this looks. This is really, really good. And at number 37, we have the Thirst Trap Wolverine, as I like to call him. It's called officially TVA Jacket Wolverine, but this is Thirst Trap Wolverine. This is the shirtless Wolverine from Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine. You have the jacket, the TVA jacket, that you can put on him. This is from the end of the film when he and Deadpool save the world. And Wolverine is shirtless, which is really just a whole joke and comedy bit in that part of the film, which looks pretty cool. He has the mask, of course, that you can go ahead and include if you wish, have him holding it. But the body is so well done that it's going to be hard to cover up. So I don't think most people are going to have the jacket on him because, again, the body is so cool and custom and well done that you're probably going to want to display it should you want this figure. This is not really a figure I think that's going to end up in my collection. I don't feel like I truly need this. I'm not sure what type of collectors are really going to choose this one over the original Wolverine that was shown, but there might be collectors who end up getting both. And if so, I think you're going to have two great figures. If you want this shirtless Wolverine variant, I think it's a pretty damn good figure. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just not going to be for me. But from an aesthetic standpoint, from the figure standpoint, it's incredible. The custom body looks awesome. It looks very Bane-like, obviously, in terms of its structure. Of course, you don't have the scars and you have different cuts and things like that. And this looks great. Wolverine's head sculpt already looks phenomenal, and now you have a great custom body here. Hot Toys is offering something really cool, so I'm not trying to shit on that at all. I think it's a great figure. I just would rather choose the other one if it were up to me. But for other collectors who maybe want this one, prefer this one, or want both, I think you got a great figure here. A lot of custom battle damage and scarring. This guy's pretty damn cool. So next up, we have the fuckboy Anakin Skywalker from the Ahsoka Disney Plus TV series. This is Anakin Skywalker in his Clone Wars outfit from the Ahsoka series. I actually really like this figure, and I think this head sculpt is very, very good. A lot of collectors weren't fond of the expression. They felt like it looked like a dating profile photo, something that wasn't overly dramatic or akin to what Hayden Christensen would do in the show. I think it looks just like it. I think the likeness is very, very strong. I think it looks like his expression in the show. And I think the amount of detail you find in the eyes and the overall likeness here is pretty incredible. The hair looks awesome. It looks very lifelike. Again, the eyes have an insane amount of detail to them. I think this looks so much like Hayden Christensen in the show. Remember, that is a de-aged version of Hayden, so it's not exactly super young, or how Anakin would look in the Clone Wars is a de-aged live-action version. If you do want a Clone Wars version of live-action figure, this would be the one as of now. I'm not sure if they'll do another one that would be any different than this, but as of now, this one is pretty damn good. So if you are a Clone Wars collector and you do want an Anakin Skywalker, it's going to be hard to pass on this guy. At number 35, we have the Hot Toys Spider-Man Anti-Venom suit. So this is from Spider-Man 2, the PlayStation 5 video game, and this is a suit that you use to fight Venom at the end of the video game. So you have, I guess, a version of the claws here that you get with the black suit and the Advanced Suit 2.0. Obviously, these are just a little bit different. You have sort of symbiote tendrils in white that are a little bit, obviously, more significant to this specific suit and more specific to this suit than you would get from the other versions of those Spider-Man figures. I think this does look pretty cool. The texture looks very similar to the black suit. It just looks like it's been colorized white instead of black. It's a good suit. It's not my favorite. I do think the white is a little bit bland compared to other versions of this character. Again, the black suit to me is much more iconic and better, and the Advanced Suit 2.0 is even better than that one. But you do have an anti-venom suit should you wish to display a cohesive Spider-Man display from Spider-Man 2. You got a pretty cool look here. And again, you got some really cool accessories. You got some symbiote accessories that were not present with the other versions of these Spider-Man figures. And now Hot Toys has really decided to deliver this go round. Number 34 is the Hot Toys Luke Skywalker from the Dark Empire line. And this is the artisan edition, so it does have wool-rooted hair, and it was a limited edition figure. It's an exclusive. So this one is pretty cool. It's basically Luke Skywalker in a Darth Vader outfit with a little bit of some discrepancies here and there. The likeness is pretty good. Again, from my understanding, this is a comic book series. People in the chat or the comments below are going to have to correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm not overly familiar with this version, this iteration of Luke Skywalker, but Howard Chan is, and he decided to put it into production. And I'm hoping this one comes out as good as the prototype because it does look pretty good. It does have a likeness to Mark Hamill, but I think what they've tried to do here is try to match it to Mark Hamill and of course also to the comic book illustrations and find a middle ground somewhere in there. And I think collectors appear to be pretty happy with that. Again, this is a figure I think that is pretty cool. It's not something that I would have expected for the artisan line. I would suspect them to be more high-end, premium, very popular versions of characters. If I thought they were going to do a Luke Skywalker artisan, I thought it maybe would have been A New Hope or Return of the Jedi or even Empire, something similar to that. But they decided to start with a Dark Empire version because it's probably a passion project for Howard Chan, who supposedly loves Star Wars. Who knows? We'll never know the truth. But I do know that the figure looks pretty cool. Next up, we have the Hot Toys Amazing Spider-Man figure. This is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man figure. When they originally showed these prototype images, I wasn't crazy about how this head sculpt turned out. I looked at this and said, okay, I see this is Andrew Garfield, but it's not quite there. It does look pretty solid. You have some battle damage effects on the head sculpt and a big poofy sculpted hairpiece, which Andrew Garfield does have big poofy hair in this film. So it is accurate. I think the suit texture does look pretty cool. This is a cool looking Spider-Man outfit. And if you are a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man series with Andrew Garfield, this would be something that you'd want to pick up. Of course, you have the interchangeable camera, the flash here on the camera, which I think is pretty cool. The interchangeable flash piece if you want that exclusive version. I do think the overall head sculpt is pretty good. I saw photos of this at various cons, and I thought it looked better in those photos than it does in the prototype images, which is pretty remarkable. I think this is going to be one collectors are happy with because the No Way Home version, I think the head sculpt is very severely lacking because I think Hot Toys appear to have their hands tied due to licensing restrictions of some kind. That's the popular theory. And now you have a little bit more flexibility with an updated head sculpt here. So this looks pretty cool. For Spider-Man collectors, I think you got a really cool figure. You got a cool diorama base here with the tower here that I think Spider-Man can really do quite a lot on. So I think this is going to be a popular Spider-Man figure for collectors, particularly ones who really think Andrew Garfield is one of the best, if not the best Spider-Man. At number 32, we have the Hot Toys Plo Koon. We have one of the Master Jedi here, which I think is pretty cool. Before he met his unceremonious end in Revenge of the Sith, he was showing up quite often. He does have a little bit of a turkey head. He looks like a turkey from Thanksgiving, but nonetheless, he's a pretty cool Jedi figure. And I think a lot of collectors are really going to want him in their display. The diehard Star Wars fans are going to want these Jedi figures that I think are really fulfilling, you know, a lot of different nostalgic connections for collectors and filling voids where you want that Jedi lineup. And this is certainly one of them. This is not going to be one that most people are going to know, but I think the diehard fans certainly will. Again, you have Clone Wars van braces that you can put on him as well, gauntlets that you can put on him if you want to go that route to have a more Clone Wars accurate look. I think this is a pretty cool looking figure. Again, it's a very unique looking figure that I think is going to draw attention on your shelf. For me, I have no interest in Plo Koon whatsoever, but I am glad that Hot Toys is making these types of figures because not every figure needs to be Iron Man or Spider-Man or Anakin Skywalker. There are certainly supporting characters that really are popular to collectors and need to be made. And Plo Koon, I'm glad that he's getting made. It's not at all for me, but I think a lot of collectors are very happy about him existing. And it's not one that I think we ever thought would exist. And just that sheer reality makes this pretty exciting. At number 31, we have Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto, again, another one of the Master Jedi, which I think is a pretty cool looking Jedi. I think he's even cooler than Plo Koon, hence the one spot higher on the list. He's a really dynamic looking Jedi. Again, the tendrils have a really cool color scheme here that I think is really going to look cool in your Star Wars display. Of course, the black eyes look very cool. And of course, you have the green and yellow and red and the paint applications there on the tendrils with the, I guess, weathering and making them look like they're worn and aged. This is very, very high quality stuff. Again, you have typical Jedi robes for Plo Koon and for Kit Fisto, but the head sculpt here with Kit Fisto rather, I think is really, really cool, as is the one for Plo Koon. But I think Kit Fisto is a little bit more exciting, a little bit more dynamic. I don't expect that you're going to be able to do much with him in terms of head articulation because he has those giant tendrils on the back of his head. So you're probably not going to be able to move it all that much. But in the range that you do have, I think you'll be able to pull off what you need to. Kit Fisto, very cool character. You got a Clone Wars gauntlet again as well on both sides that you can use. USB powered lightsabers, a pretty standard base, but this is a cool release. And again, I'm glad these figures are being made. There's a lot of collectors who want them, and I'm so glad that they exist for those reasons. Next up is Hot Toys Shin Hati, coming from the Ahsoka Disney Plus TV series. This is a figure that is pretty cool. The internet was obsessed with this character. A lot of I Can Fix Her memes, a lot of people comparing her to Elizabeth Olsen, Darkseid Elizabeth Olsen, which is kind of what Scarlet Witch is in Multiverse of Madness, is Darkseid Scarlet Witch. But nonetheless, you get my point. The internet became really obsessed with her. This is not a figure that I thought would even be produced. She and Baylan Skoll are both are being produced. Baylan is already out there in the wild. He's been released. And Shin Hati has yet to release to the public yet. But the prototype looks pretty good. I do think the head sculpt could be a little bit improved in terms of the overall likeness and the paint applications, but the outfit looks stellar. The outfit looks absolutely awesome. and this is a character that has a lot of potential moving forward in the Star Wars universe, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here. Still, you have LED USB powered lightsaber, pretty standard base, and of course some other cool stuff as well there. But Shin Hati is a really cool character. I think a lot of collectors are going to pick this one up. For me, the likeness is pretty good. I do think it can be improved. The paint applications are a little bit soft, so I hope they don't soften even further in the final product. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see Shin Hati release so collectors can pick her up. At number 29, we have Hot Toys Doctor Doom from the comic book series line. This is a really cool figure. A lot of comic book collectors, of course, want this figure for their own reasons because it represents a comic book collection here and of comic book experience and nostalgic connection to this very iconic character. Some collectors, I think, are getting a little bit impatient because they want to see RDJ in the Doctor Doom attire and see how he performs in Avengers Doomsday. But until then, you have a really good Doomsday figure here that could fulfill that void if you so wish. For me, I'm going to wait just a little bit longer to see how Doomsday turns out and see how I feel about that iteration compared to the comic version. But you have a really, really cool diorama base here with a Doctor Doom plate on the front there. And of course, a sort of, I guess, castle-like design there on the bottom. I think it's really cool. This figure has a lot of presence. For a comic book figure, it looks very lifelike. It looks like it could appear in a Marvel film. This thing is really cool. At number 28, we have the Armored Batman 2.0 from BVS, Batman v Superman. Those who know me know I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan. I do love the Snyder cut of Justice League. I thought that was a very good film. Batman v Superman, I'm not the biggest fan of, but this figure, I am a fan. I am not going to be picking this one up because I have no nostalgic connection to it. Batman v Superman was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was pretty mid. But this figure is pretty damn cool. The Armored Batman look is pretty awesome. This is obviously the look he uses to go against Superman. It's tactical for that reason. And it is very much Armored Batman. This thing is like a tank. So very big, very bulky, meant to be a big armored suit that Batman can fight Superman in. This looks awesome. The updates to the first version from this version do look substantial in my eyes. The weathering looks significant. The likeness looks very good to Ben Affleck. And again, you have LED light up in the eyes via battery operation, which is pretty cool. Although I would like to see USB. You have a Kryptonian spear with a diorama base that you can plug in, which is pretty cool. Die-cast metal parts you can see here indicated on the photos. And I think a metallic paint application that has some weathering, again, like I mentioned, that is a substantial improvement, a marked improvement from the original. So if you're a Batman fan, if you love Ben Affleck as Batman, you got that broken mask portrait as well. This is pretty damn cool. At number 27, we have the Hot Toys Artisan Harley Quinn figure from the Suicide Squad. This to me is a very good likeness, a very good head sculpt. Collectors weren't overly thrilled with it when it was first announced. They thought it didn't look like Margot Robbie. I think it most certainly does look like Margot Robbie. Unfortunately, you have that one expression and that is it. There is no changing it. There is no interchangeable faceplate, but the rooted hair looks great. And to be honest, this is an expression that Margot Robbie is probably most known for in her portrayal of Harley Quinn. So it does look pretty cool. This is a very cool Harley Quinn outfit. The red and the black color scheme, I think with the red leather jacket does look pretty cool. So to me, if you were going to make one Harley Quinn and you were able to conceal the joints and give it an artisan vibe, this would probably be the one for Margot Robbie, in my opinion. A lot of other collectors would disagree just because they want something maybe from the Snyderverse. But for this James Gunn film, I thought this was a very good film for one. And I liked Harley's portrayal in it from Margot Robbie. And I do like this outfit. Maybe the dress version was one collectors wanted. Still, I think this one does look very good. And for an artisan edition figure, Harley Quinn does make a lot of sense considering Hot Toys has produced her over and over and over again. Very popular character. And this one is certainly the best Harley Quinn that's ever been done, in my opinion. At number 26, we have the Hot Toys Batman Returns Michael Keaton figure. So this is one that I mentioned in my 2024 releases video as the modern suit was an option for collectors. And now you have the returns option, which is on pre-order, which is also a really cool option. You can see this one has a brighter yellow color scheme compared to other versions, particularly the modern suit, which I think is a little bit different in its color scheme. This has interchangeable faceplates as well, which I think look pretty cool. The Batman Returns film is not one that I've even seen yet. I did see Batman 89, which I thought was a solid film, but just not my favorite Batman film by any stretch. I'm a Dark Knight guy. And I'm excited to see this Batman Returns figure in collectors' collections in their displays, because the original Batman 89 figure, a lot of collectors had their qualms about it. They liked it, some didn't like it, some thought it was very mid. It just wasn't quite as satisfying as most collectors hoped. And you can see the detailed wingsuit on this one, which is pretty remarkable. You can see a lot that comes with it. The base is pretty badass. I think that's pretty cool. You got some battering accessories and other cool stuff there. I think there is some cool stuff to like here, and this suit does have a lot of presence. If you're a Keaton fan, I think this one is hard to pass up. At number 25, we have the Hot Toys Jinx from Arcane. This is a character that I know very little about, but this figure looks incredible. Arcane is a very popular show. A lot of collectors felt it's one of the best animated shows of all time. And Hot Toys has decided to dip their toes into the license here and make a really incredible figure. You have a totally seamless upper body here, which I think looks remarkable. You have tattoos, which shows that Hot Toys can do seamless bodies with tattoos if they so wish. The articulation does look pretty substantial. You have multiple head sculpts, some really cool accessories. I have watched a little bit of Arcane and I enjoyed it, although it didn't get me enough to continue watching him. But I think I'm going to give it another try when things start to open up in my schedule, which hopefully is in the near future. I guess we'll see. But you have the blue braids that run down most of the back, a really cool head sculpt that looks almost animated and also lifelike at the same time. Very akin to the Clone Wars line. Hot Toys does this because they want these to connect well with your other figures in your collection, despite this being an animated series. And that's why they've created something that looks pretty lifelike. This looks incredible. This is such a good figure. It's crazy. It makes me want to watch the show again because of how popular it is and how cool this figure looks. This one is really well done by Hot Toys. They pulled out all the stops here. This is an incredible head sculpt here that looks very lifelike. And honestly, again, it makes me want to watch Arcane. So Jinx is very well deserving of number 25 on this list, maybe higher if I think I knew a little bit more about her. But for now, 25, she's pretty awesome. At number 24, we have the Hot Toys Batman and Bruce Wayne Armory 2.0 from The Dark Knight. This one does not come with Alfred like it did in the original iteration of this set, but it does have the Armory and of course a Bruce Wayne and a Batman that looks really, really cool. This is one that I probably should have ordered. I did not put this one on pre-order despite my love for The Dark Knight because at the time I didn't have space for this Armory in my collection. I probably could have made space had I dedicated a little bit more room. And now I'm kind of having a little bit of FOMO, but we'll see how this figure set comes out once it actually releases. This head sculpt is pretty damn good. It's not quite Christian Bale, it's not quite Bruce Wayne, but it's getting closer. Hot Toys has not quite perfected the Christian Bale head sculpt as far as Bruce Wayne is concerned, but they're getting there. This is definitely the best bat suit I've seen from them. It looks very similar to the Dark Knight Rises version, except for the Dark Knight Rises has some subtle differences here and there. But still, this looks very good. The suit looks really well tailored. I think it looks awesome overall. The head sculpt is definitely moving in the right direction. Although he does look a little bit ghostly, it is progressing. And I hope it comes out even better in the final product. The Armory is light up. It looks awesome. The Batman bat suit is awesome. This is a really cool figure. You can put the head sculpt on. You can put the bat cowl on. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. The Armory has a lot of presence. And again, the Dark Knight is absolutely goated. So Dark Knight is awesome. At number 23, we have the Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. So this originated from a comic book from Frank Miller and then went on to become an animated, I believe, film, which I still have not seen, although people have told me how awesome it is. That really is one of the most beloved animated superhero content, films, shows, whatever the case may be of all time. This is one that I'm very happy for collectors that Hot Toys actually tackled. This is another one I didn't think they would. 2024 was a year of absolute surprises from Hot Toys. They released and announced many things I never expected they would in a million years, this being one of them. There have been some custom versions of this figure, and now you have an official licensed Hot Toys version that looks pretty damn awesome. This guy is bulky. He's beefy. The proportions are substantial. Honestly, this is a body you'd probably use for like an Omni-Man figure. An Omni-Man figure would look great with this body because it's very bulky and big. Again, this is one that I'm putting high on this list because of how cool it looks for one, and two, the fact that it even exists in the first place. And really three rather, I can't count. You're going to be able to probably articulate this guy very effectively. You're going to be able to put him in a bunch of different poses. It looks like a fabric suit to me. You're not going to have to worry about too much creasing. This guy's going to pose very effectively, and I think you're going to be able to do a lot with him. And the fact that he's going to end up in your collection when we never thought he would, that's worth recognition for Hot Toys. At number 22, we have the Hot Toys Beetlejuice from Beetlejuice, the new film installment in the Beetlejuice franchise. That actually was pretty good. I still have not yet seen it, but it looks pretty good in figure form. I will say the likeness to Michael Keaton here is pretty damn remarkable. You have a really cool diorama base that has a light up function. This has two head sculpts as well, the eyes popping out, and of course the standard head sculpt. This is not an artisan figure, despite the fact that it has wool hairstyling and rooting, which is I find very interesting. This looks very much like it would be an artisan figure, but I'm guessing Hot Toys didn't want to limit it. Maybe they said this is much easier to produce. We don't have to go full artisan on this one. Nonetheless, it looks great. The paint applications are awesome with the green sort of weathering, like mossing type of effect. I guess it would be weathering in some sort of the skin, which I think is pretty cool. The weathering on the outfit looks pretty awesome as well. A lot of detail to be found. Sideshow made a version of the original Beetlejuice, which collectors were a little bit, iffy on, which tends to be how Sideshow goes for production of figures. Hot Toys is generally not the case. This looks awesome. This second head sculpt would be hard to ignore in my opinion because it's so presence commanding. You look at this and say, damn, those eyes and that base, this is absolutely awesome. Although this original head sculpt with the smile is pretty cool as well. So this one I think is going to make a lot of collectors very happy. It is older Beetlejuice instead of younger, but still very, very good. At number 21, we have the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 42 2.0. This figure is awesome. I have always loved this suit, but what I don't love is Iron Man 3. It was one that I really wanted to pre-order, but I stopped myself because I said, you know what? I love the look of this suit, but I don't have that nostalgic pull to this suit. I don't have that pull like I do the Mark 7 or the Mark 5 or the Mark 3 or even the Mark 6 or the 85 battle damage. This one is not quite to that level for me, but I love the battle damage effects. I love the head sculpt. I think it's getting closer to Tony Stark. I love the base. I love the color scheme of this suit. I just wish I loved Iron Man 3. Look how badass that looks with the battle damage effects. This is super cool. A very badass looking Iron Man that is going to have a lot of presence on a shelf. Whether you put him in a flight pose, whether you put him in a standing pose, the presence is undeniable here. I like the battle damage effects myself. I think that looks really cool for this figure. I probably wouldn't even use the head sculpt, but it is there nonetheless. If you want to have RDJ on this figure, you can do that. Guys, this is awesome. Look at the differences between the new version and the original. The height, the proportions, the paint applications, it's better all around in every single way. This figure is absolutely awesome. Woo! This thing is really cool. Although it's not going to end up in my collection, happy for those who are getting it. At number 20, we have Hot Toys Mr. Knight from the Moon Knight Disney Plus series. Well, this is maybe recency bias, but this figure is awesome. We have a really cool, intricate suit here with a great Oscar Isaac sculpted hair head sculpt. This is awesome. Of course, you get the Mr. Knight head sculpt as well. Of course, you get the batons there that he uses to fight as Mr. Knight, as Stephen Grant. I think this is really cool. The base is simple, but it works. There's the Mr. Knight head sculpt, the mask portrait with the LED light up function with the battery operated input. I wish it were USB, but again, they're still trying to figure out a way to make that work. Still, this looks awesome. I love the suit. I think this is going to look really cool next to Moon Knight. You gotta have both. You can't really have one without the other, unfortunately. You could have Moon Knight without Mr. Knight, but I don't think you could have Mr. Knight without Moon Knight. He looks good as a companion piece to Moon Knight, and I think this is going to be really cool in your display. This is a very lifelike, incredible head sculpt, one of the best head sculpts I've ever seen from Hot Toys, and the suit looks awesome. I love the version with the mask on, without the mask on. It looks great either way. Whew, this thing is really cool, and I'm glad that this got made again, which I didn't expect that it was going to. Is pretty great. At number 19, we have the Hot Toys Peter Parker Superior Suit Spider-Man. Now, this is a Spider-Man suit that I know very little about, but I do know one thing. It looks incredible. This is one of the best Spider-Man suits that I've ever seen in my life. This black and red color scheme is incredible. I love the claws on the suit. I love everything about how this looks. The red claws on there. I think the claws on the hands are really cool. I think this guy looks remarkable from an aesthetic standpoint. It's not going to be one that I bring home. Maybe I'll be kicking myself in the future should I learn more about this suit, but I know it has comic roots that a lot of collectors love. This is a really badass, cool looking Spider-Man suit. This is one of the most unique and most eye-catching Spider-Man suits that I have ever seen. And because of that, the texture on it, the color scheme makes this a really cool figure. Whether you use the red claws or not, I think this guy is going to look badass in the display. For me, again, not going to come home, but I cannot deny how cool this figure looks and how great it will be for Spider-Man collectors. Next up, we have the Hot Toys Han Solo from Return of the Jedi. So those who have been following my channel for a while know that I originally said that this figure was ass. And the reason I said that was not due to the likeness, but due to the hair. I love the base. I love the outfit, how it's tailored. I love the head sculpt and how close it is to Harrison Ford. I'm not loving how poofy the hair is. Over time, I've softened on this stance just a little bit. I do feel like this head sculpt is a little bit closer in terms of the hair to what Han Solo looked like in Return of the Jedi. I'm hoping that Hot Toys brings it down just a little bit in the final product, but overall, I am still happy with it, and I will still be picking up this figure because I do need a Han Solo in my collection. I do think the hairpiece does look a little bit wiggish, a little bit poofy, but again, he did kind of have that look admittedly in the film. I just think in sculpted format, it does look a little unnatural. I do hope, again, they fix this hairpiece and make it a little bit better, but the likeness is pretty good. I don't think I would end up using the coat because I do like Han in his look with the white sleeves and the black overcoat. I think that looks a little bit better than the long coat. So for me, that's probably the look I would be going for. But nonetheless, you have a great iteration of Han Solo regardless. At number 17, we have the Hot Toys Captain America Stealth Strike Suit 2.0. Now, this is an update to the original Stealth Strike suit, and then we even had one from Avengers Endgame as well, so it's kind of an update to that, if you would, as well. You have a magnetic base here, which is very simplistic, which I think is kind of cool. You have the blue shield, and of course, you have the look overall that stemmed originally from the Winter Soldier. We have had a Winter Soldier tease, but not yet announced. And this suit looks awesome. The proportions are improved. The head sculpt under the mask is improved. The head sculpt unmasked is improved. It's still not entirely Chris Evans, but it's certainly better than it has been in future productions of this suit, or even any Captain America for that matter. I love how this looks with the mask on. With the mask on, I certainly see Chris Evans. With the mask off, I kind of see Chris Evans, but it's not quite there. It looks more like a stunt double than it does look like Chris Evans. But with the mask on, as you can see there, I'm very impressed with this figure. At number 16, we have the Hot Toys Darth Sidious from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this is evil, sort of Emperor Sidious as he just gets started with his, Emperor evil vibes. And this looks really like Exorcist Darth Sidious. You can see here with the cloak and, of course, the evil dark side eyes and the yellow stained teeth and the sort of old looking skin texture. This is very similar to a promo shot that Star Wars Disney Lucasfilm released at the time, which is not Disney, it was Lucasfilm. They released for Palpatine from Ian McDiarmid. And this looks like a really cool figure. Again, you have lightning effects that connect to the hands and a USB powered lightsaber that looks pretty cool. For me, I do like how this figure looks. I'm not sure if I'll choose this one over the Clone Wars Palpatine, which I think is absolutely awesome. Not a big Clone Wars guy, but I love how that looks. I would prefer a Chancellor Palpatine, maybe from the Episode 3 anniversary coming up in 2025. That would be fantastic. In the meantime, we have a great Sidious here that I think looks pretty cool. You can get the Dark Side exclusive with the commemorative coin there, which I think is awesome, but it just depends on which version of Sidious you would like. If you love Episode 3, if you love the prequels, if you're a prequels fan, this would be the one to get. This is a very specific look. I mean, this is close to the one that's in the original trilogy as well, just a brown outfit instead of a black one. Still, very cool Sidious. As of now, it's the one I'm sticking with, but I'm going back and forth. At number 15, we have the Hot Toys Artisan Black Widow from Iron Man 2. Now, this is most certainly the best Black Widow that has been announced from Hot Toys thus far. You have a figure here that looks very much like Scarlett Johansson with the wool-rooted hair, which is, specific to the Artisan line besides Beetlejuice, as we mentioned. The tailoring on the suit looks absolutely awesome. You have a really cool base as well. You have the Iron Man gauntlet with the special edition. And again, the likeness to Scarlett Johansson is undeniably there. The other Scarlett Johansson Black Widow figures I feel are a bit lacking. Other collectors disagree with me. It depends on who you ask. But for me, I've never been a huge fan of any of those head sculpts and how they've turned out. I do think this Artisan one is going to turn out pretty good. I think it's going to be the best Black Widow on the market. And because of that, I think this one is certainly worthy of a look in the top 15 of 2024 announcements. I really hope this one turns out as collectors would like. You have a magnetic base here, as you can see, and a lot of cool stuff that you can play with. Again, there is the Iron Man gauntlet with the special edition. Are you really going to use that? Probably not. Depends on your display, maybe. But I think overall, you're really just going to want that amazing head sculpt, which is pretty remarkable. So a great Artisan addition to the line. This one's pretty cool. At number 14, we have the Hot Toys Iron Spider Artisan Edition. So this is the Tom Holland Iron Spider Artisan Edition from Avengers Endgame. This is also a figure that appeared in this outfit in the Avengers Infinity War, so I guess you could use it as that as well. But it does have battle damage, so I guess it's closer to Endgame than Infinity War, although he did get beat up pretty bad in Infinity War, as you know as well. You have the instant kill effect, as you can see here. You have the Nano Gauntlet, which is pretty cool with the stones in it as well. I think the head sculpt overall with the powered by USB light up, I think is pretty cool. Again, this to me is probably not going to be that much of a factor because if you're buying the Artisan version, you probably want the head sculpt on it. If you're not buying the Artisan version, you probably want the Iron Spider look. But if you're buying the Artisan version, putting the head sculpt in the box is kind of a shame. So you paid all that extra money to not even use the head sculpt. It seems like a bit of a waste. This head sculpt is awesome. It looks so much like Tom Holland. I think the rooting of the hair looks awesome. Iron Spider is not my favorite Spider-Man look. If I were to get a Spider-Man Artisan, I would want the Civil War tech suit version, or maybe the final swingsuit version would be pretty cool. But I don't know. I think tech suit would probably be my choice, as that's the most iconic suit to me from Civil War and from Homecoming. Iron Spider, this looks very good compared to the original version. You can see the updates are immense there. Very good paint applications. The suit material looks higher quality, and I think the LED light up function with the USB is going to be pretty cool. And of course, you have that amazing head sculpt. You have Mjolnir with a web effect, which is going to be pretty awesome as well. This, guys, is a pretty cool Artisan figure. And for Spider-Man collectors, hard to ignore that. At number 13, we have Hot Toys Comic Venom. This Venom is awesome. To most collectors, this is probably going to be their definitive Venom. I think the sizing is appropriate. The teeth are awesome. This, with the eyes, looks more lifelike and more akin to what most collectors know as Venom. And of course, you have the spider logo on the chest. For me, I'm a fan of the Tom Hardy iteration of Venom. I'm not a huge fan of the films, but I did see the first two, and the first one I didn't like. Carnage I did like. I thought it was pretty solid. So those are the ones that I have because I think that Venom matches with Carnage a bit better, which I love Carnage in that film. So for me, I'm sticking with that one. But for a lot of collectors who want the best Venom, this could be the best one. I mean, this is absolutely awesome. The other Venom from Spider-Man 2 is 21 inches tall, and it's a little bit different in its look. This one, I think, is pretty close to what most collectors have in their mind's eye as Venom, So for me, I think this is pretty awesome. It's hard to ignore this guy. The texture on the skin is pretty awesome. You have the spider logo. The teeth look great. The tongue is magnetic, also looks great. This is going to be a really, really cool figure. And for collectors who want one Venom and don't care about the Tom Hardy iteration, this is probably the one. At number 12, we have Hot Toys Chewbacca with disassembled C-3PO. Guys, this is awesome. Chewbacca is a character that is very important in Star Wars history. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know this, you recognize this. And the only really good one that we've had was that A New Hope version that existed and released a long time ago. You had the Force Awakens version, which didn't come out quite as good. And now you have this version, which looks incredible in the prototype. Love the base, love the disassembled C-3PO, although I'll probably never use it. And you have a Chewbacca here with an amazing likeness here. I already pre-ordered this one. I can't wait for this one to come home. I'm going to put it next to Han Solo. I think this one is awesome. You have the wool hairstyling, which is super cool. This guy is going to be tall on the base because you have that platform base, which already elevates him a few inches. Now he's going even higher because he's already pretty tall. This is awesome. The hair on this figure is awesome. I love the color mixture of the different hair stylings, different colors of the hairs. I think that looks awesome. And the eyes look incredibly lifelike. This guy is going to pop on a shelf like no other. I love a good Chewbacca figure. I had the A New Hope and I sold it because I knew they were going to make another one that's going to be better. And it is. This one is better than A New Hope as far as prototypes are concerned. Next up is Hot Toys Savage Opress, coming from the Clone Wars. This is a figure that I also didn't think was going to be made, but 2024 again was full of surprises, unexpected, pleasant surprises. This was one of them. Savage Opress looks absolutely awesome. Darth Maul's brother is a badass from what I'm told. Again, not the biggest Clone Wars collector. I've elected to pass on this figure for now because I'm not sure that I have the connection to him without watching Clone Wars to pick him up, but boy, was it difficult. This figure looks incredible, and I think on a shelf, it's going to look so good next to Darth Maul or any other Star Wars figures for that matter, because he has such a cool look. Look at his presence compared to Darth Maul. Such a bigger figure and more presence commanding. Going to be really, really cool in the display. You have a USB powered lightsaber, again, movable eyes, great paint applications, battle damage horns that are interchangeable. Super, super cool. This Savage Opress figure is absolutely awesome. You have the Mechno arm. Now it has a wrap. It's been updated by Hot Toys since this announcement. Really, really cool. Man, for Clone Wars collectors or Star Wars collectors, anyone really, this guy is very tempting. And now we're in the top 10. At number 10, we have the Hot Toys Artisan Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix edition. Well, those who purchased the InArt 4-pack or 2-pack were a little bit confused and disappointed when this one was announced by Hot Toys because it's one figure for around $500 probably out the door for the Joaquin Phoenix Joker from the first Joker film. Wool hair implantation, as all Artisan figures have. Exclusive and limited. There was a queue for this one, but it does look pretty awesome. You have the chair you can sit him in from the Murray Franklin show. Pretty great tailoring. A very good head sculpt to Joaquin Phoenix, although I think the InArt is vastly superior. Although we will see the final product from Hot Toys and see how it compares. I think this one does need a little bit of work. You compare this one to InArt. I think the InArt one is better as of now. Only time will tell if that ends up being the case. I do like the base on this one a little bit better than the InArt version, but I think overall it's a great figure. It's a great addition to the Artisan line. I'm glad that Hot Toys collectors were able to get one without paying out the ass and paying over $1,000 to $1,700 for 3 or 2 or 4 figures. I think this one is a great option if you just wanted that one red suit Joker and you're happy with this head sculpt. At number 9, we have Artisan Moon Knight from the Moon Knight Disney Plus TV series. Guys, this is one of the best head sculpts that has ever been done in 1/6 scale from a prototype standpoint. This looks exactly like Oscar Isaac. It's crazy. And the Moon Knight has additional weathering that the original version did not have. I have that original Moon Knight. Great figure. Very clean though, and doesn't have an Oscar Isaac head sculpt. This one has that head sculpt and has additional weathering and looks super cool. I am getting this version, although I am going to maintain and hold on to my original version for now because I don't want to not have a Moon Knight in my display. Such a cool character, such a cool presence in the display. So I want to end up keeping one Moon Knight and I'll end up selling the old one once this one arrives. Until then, this head sculpt is incredible. I love how this looks. I love the additional weathering. And again, I'm going to display my Moon Knight with this head sculpt on, because otherwise, why would you get the artisan version? You would just keep the original. You don't care about the Oscar Isaac head sculpt at that point, and it's just going to stay in the box, right? Man, this is so good. Moon Knight is incredible though, so having the Moon Knight masked portrait in the box is kind of upsetting as well, but I'll live knowing that Oscar Isaac portrait is going to be in my display in all of its glory. At number 8, we have the Hot Toys Scorched Xenomorph. The Scorched Xenomorph is awesome. Collectors have been wanting another Xenomorph. They didn't even really care what iteration it was for a long period of time. And Alien Romulus, I know I get some comments that disagree with me. I thought it was a very good film. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I like the lead actress who played Rain. I thought she was very good. And now we have a Scorched Xenomorph that looks absolutely awesome. The base is awesome. The presence is awesome. The skin texture is awesome. I love everything about this. Apparently there's a rubber jaw, which could deteriorate as other versions have. Hopefully they correct and fix that or change something so that is not the case, because if so, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to maintain the integrity of that jaw. Regardless, love the skin texture, love the paint applications, the different color designs here with the black and the gray. Looks awesome. It looks very gooey, very lifelike. This is going to be an awesome Xenomorph in my collection, and I can't wait to put it on display. This thing is awesome. Dude, so cool. I'm so happy to be getting a Xenomorph. You have a face hugger here as well that you can mount on the display base, and you have an LED light up function with that display base as well. This Scorched Xenomorph is well overdue. At number 7, we have the Hot Toys Battle Damage Darth Vader. So this is from the Force Unleashed video game. For one, the base is absolutely awesome. 2, you have a lot of swap out parts here that are awesome. The battle damage on this figure is remarkable. This is the best Darth Vader from a battle damage standpoint that you could possibly buy. The Kenobi version I still feel is good just because of its impact on the live action series, but Force Unleashed was a great video game. I really very much enjoyed it. And you have a Hayden Christensen likeness here, a cape that you can actually have swooping, that's sculpted. You can have swooping upwards, which is pretty damn cool. You have skin showing. I'm at a loss for words. I'm tripping over my words talking about the excitement for this figure. I am picking this one up, and the base is awesome. That cape is massive. It's going to take up a ton of space. You have swappable helmets. You have a really cool amount of accessories to work with here. You have the Obi-Wan Kenobi head sculpt should you want to use it. You have the visible leg, the Cybertronic leg as well. This guy's awesome. The Hayden Christensen sculpt there, as you can see. And of course, that likeness is very, very strong. You have a full helmet as well, which I kind of feel like I might use the full helmet. I really like that full helmet look that I think will give this Darth Vader a really badass looking display. So for me, the amount of detail that is packed into this figure is remarkable. The likeness to Hayden is remarkable. I think everything about this is super, super cool. This is a figure that I feel like most Darth Vader fans probably need. I don't know if it's the definitive look for Vader. I think you could probably find something different for that. But if you want a battle damage look, if you don't have Kenobi, this is the one. And at number 6, we have the Hot Toys T-1000 2.0 from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Those who know me know I love Terminator 2. I do like Terminator 1. I really enjoy it, but Terminator 2 is one of the best films ever made, in my opinion. It's certainly one of my favorite films ever. Action, sci-fi, whatever you want to call it, it's incredible. T-1000 has been a missing void in my collection for years now because I didn't want to go back and get the original. I felt like it looked a little bit dated. I was waiting for a remake, and now we have it, and it is awesome. Again, 2024 was full of things that I never thought would be announced that Hot Toys have now decided to make for collectors, and the T-1000 is one of them. The likeness to Robert Patrick is awesome. I think you got a really cool head sculpt here in the liquid metal version with the open eye. I think this is super cool. Whether you use the full head sculpt or the liquid metal version, you have a really cool display. Movable eyes, a light up diorama base, a police uniform outfit, the attachable liquid metal effects, the display base, the grate from the factory in the fight of the final part of the film is awesome. This guy is super cool. It's going to go really well next to the 2.0 Battle Damage T800. Damn. This is amazing. This is coming home for sure. At number 5, we have Hot Toys Artisan God Loki. You know I had to put this one in here. As the biggest Loki fan in all of 1/6 scale collecting, self-proclaimed, I had to get this Artisan God Loki. I was in the queue right away. I was ready to secure the bag on this one, and I secured him, and I'm very excited about it. You have the throne. Of course, this is from Loki Season 2 of the Disney Plus series, which I really loved. I love Season 1. I love Season 2. I really love the Loki series. The more I watched it, the more I fell in love with it. At first, I was like, I don't know where they're taking Loki's character, but I ended up really loving it. This wool hair is awesome. This is the best likeness to Tom Hiddleston thus far. The outfit is super cool and represents his culmination and his journey over all of the MCU films and shows. I think it's awesome. You have the effects there, of course, that I think are pretty cool. The time strands, which are awesome. The throne is awesome. I'm not sure how I'm going to fit him on the throne with those effects in my display, but I'm going to find a way because this figure and this character are very important to me. Metallic gold paint application on the throne, wool hair implantation. You can also get the sculpted hair version. This incredible figure. I love this outfit from Loki. It's not quite as iconic as his Avengers 1 look. I hope they artisan that one at some point, but for now, you know I'm bringing this one out. At number 4, we have the Hot Toys Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine. Guys, this figure is remarkable. This is one of the best head sculpts that's ever been made from Hot Toys. It looks so much like Hugh Jackman. It looks like a screenshot. I showed this to my family. I showed this to coworkers. I've shown this to everyone, even my girlfriend, and they've all said, this looks incredible. This looks so good. The eyes, the detail in the paint application on the skin texture, the hair, the beard, all of it looks just like Hugh Jackman. You have a mass portrait should you wish to use it. For me, that would be a shame unless you're going to buy 2 because the head sculpt is so good. Again, this is comic accurate, so it's a lot of collector's wet dream if you're a comic book reader. But regardless of that, the likeness to Hugh Jackman is awesome. You have the sleeve version. You can also take the sleeves off and you can attach them with the sleeveless look there with the seamless arms, which is, I think, what most collectors are going to do. All of it looks incredible. This is so cool. This is a figure that a lot of collectors are just clamoring to have in their collection. I can't wait for this one to start shipping. I hope the prototype does not decline in quality to the final product. But as of now, this is incredible. Closing in here at number 3, we have the Hot Toys T-800 2.0. As I said with the T-1000 already, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is one of the best films ever made, regardless of genre. And Hot Toys have really dove back in here, which I'm pretty excited about. You have a great paint application, updated likeness here with Arnold. I have the original DX13. It's remarkable. It's no slouch, particularly for its time. But the likeness here to Arnold on the updated version is remarkable as well. Paint applications are great. You have real leather components in the jackets and the pants. You have the graded floor on the base. It's LED light up function, which is going to look great next to the T-1000. This guy is so hard to ignore. The weapons he comes with, the swappable arms, all of it is super cool. This guy, damn, is so cool. I don't know how you're going to pass on this one if you're a Terminator fan. I don't know when we're going to get another iteration of this Arnold Schwarzenegger figure. Hot Toys have delivered something really remarkable here, and I can only hope that the final product is as badass as this prototype. But if it's anything like the DX13, I think we're going to be in for something pretty remarkable. At number 2, we have the Hot Toys Darth Maul 2.0 from the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace. Guys, this is a 2.0, but it is absolutely remarkable. This is incredible. It is awesome. The head sculpt on the original version was pretty good, although the paint applications were not quite accurate in the skin tones. Well, now it's accurate. It's accurate, all right. It looks just like Ray Parker's Darth Maul. This thing is absolutely awesome. Incredible. Every adjective that's positive you can think of, this is awesome. I love myself some Darth Maul, as many Star Wars fans do. And the likeness and paint application is awesome. You have the Sith speeder here, which I do have that on order. I'm getting the Sith speeder, which I'm really excited about. You have the cloak here, which looks improved from the original version. The original cloak was absolute ass. It was a pain in the ass to get on Darth Maul. Whether you're going to use it or not, you have wires in the fabric there on the tabard, which is awesome, and an LED-powered USB lightsaber, which is going to look super cool in your display. The likeness, guys, wow, incredible. This is one of the best Hot Toys likenesses they've done, and this is a very important character in Star Wars lore. Man, I remember as a kid watching him in The Phantom Menace in the theaters. Again, the film was ass, but Darth Maul was absolutely incredible, and I think a lot of fans left that theater saying, wow. Look at the differences between the original and the updated version. It is remarkable, a marked difference in quality, incredible. The Sith speeder is coming home as well. You can light that up with USB also. Man, this figure's so good. And number 1, the best Hot Toys announcement pre-order of 2024 is General Grievous. General Grievous, a lot of us collectors started to lose hope over the years. We said Sideshow has a version, it's ass, it's not great. Maybe Hot Toys will make one, maybe not. I still maintained hope for a long period of time. They're going to make one. People said, no, you're crazy. They're not making one. Well, they've made one and it looks awesome. You have die-cast components, 3 modes of mechanical arm display, different lightsabers. It is awesome, guys. This is so cool. The cape obviously is wired there. You can have it posed to do different things. This is going to look so cool in your display. The cape holds the lightsabers just like in the film. You can have the arms displayed out. Hopefully the die-cast components maintain and hold their articulation over time and they don't wear down. Regardless, this Grievous looks super cool. I can't wait to get this guy. I think he's going to be so presence commanding. The USB lightsaber I think is going to look awesome in display. Wow. This General Grievous is so cool. Star Wars collectors waited so long to get a Hot Toys General Grievous, and now we have one with movable eyes, die-cast components, as you can see here labeled in red, the lightsabers, the cape, All of it is super cool. LED powered lightsaber is super great. You have 4 of them, it looks like. I didn't even realize that. You have 4. I forgot, I guess. It's been a while. You have really cool base there. Wow. This thing is going to be a grail. No doubt about it. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me on this journey of the top 50 hot toys on pre-order ranked in 2024. If you like this video, make sure to like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you are notified when content goes live here. We have live streams, we have reviews, we have videos like these. Everything that you'd want to know about 1/6 scale collecting and statue collecting, it can be found here. Thank you guys so much as always. Make sure to check out my 2024 best releases, the top 50 releases, video linked in the description below if you enjoyed this one. Again, smash the like button if you enjoyed this content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. See you later. Bye.